Hello, hello, hello. Let me turn this up. Hello, y'all. Everybody, how's it going? I hope you got the the notification that I was coming on tonight because some of you don't get the notification. I have no idea why that is. I don't know. But it's not just me, okay? It's happening to other people as well. So the only thing that we can tell you is you have to keep checking to make sure that you have the notification thing checked. And also, you'll have to check back from time to time to see it on the community tab on the main page to see if I put up a notice that I'm doing a live broadcast. Otherwise, you can check the um, replays. Oh man, I tell you, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. It's frustrating for us because we want to be able. When I say we, I mean all of us who are presenting content on here. We want to be able to talk to you and keep you up to date, and live is better. So I don't know. YouTube, YouTube. Uh, I keep thinking I'm going to Rumble. I do have an account on Rumble, but I just rarely go over there. And anyway, so anyhow, when you come on, just make sure that you say who you are and where you're signaling from. You know the drill, so that I know who I'm talking to. Okay, so let's do that. And let's see what I have tonight. Well, life goes on. There's a lot going on since the last time I talked to you guys. There's been several um, train derailments. Hello, Christopher. Several train derailments, lots of toxins in the air. I tell you, you guys, this is really getting to be something. It's happening so frequently until anybody with half a working brain cell knows that this is intentional. Um, there's a word for it, and it's eco, and I'll let you fill in the rest. Okay, but because they might pull my channel down if I say the whole thing. It's a shame, that you have to do this. But if you guys been keeping up with what's been going on, this is really something. This is something, and it's happening under this administration's watch. And you don't hear a whole lot being done about it, but there's a whole lot of emphasis being put on going to help some other country while our water and our air is being so contaminated and so polluted that animals are dying and people are getting very, very sick while they're being told, oh, it's fine, you can go back in there, there's nothing to see here, folks, move along, nothing to worry about, just go head back to your homes and all this kind of stuff. It is absolutely disgusting that this level of either this psychopathic behavior um, is in the Oval Office. It's disgusting. So anyway, I don't know where you guys live. You always tell me, and I always forget. That's why I say put it in the what's the name? Put it in the chat box so that I'll know where you're signaling from. But listen, you guys, I want you to be careful, okay? Because um, when I put out these live broadcasts, I'm not doing it trying to send you into a panic. Hi, Vanessa. I'm not trying to send you into a panic, and I'm not trying to get you to be overwhelmed with fear, but I want you to be aware. If you don't know what's going on because you're watching CNN or NSNBC or MSNBC or AB, whatever, you're watching legacy media who are pathological liars, they will not tell you the truth. They will not tell you what's going on. I mean, they just lie all the time. All the time, okay? Something as simple as follow the science and they can't even concur with genders. Okay? So don't follow the science, okay? Don't follow their science. I'm just saying, you cannot listen to these people. They are sick. Hi, Alyssa. And they could care. They don't care about you. I keep saying this. I have been saying this for since before the Great Plague. Okay. I've been saying, let me tell you, when we got about a month into that whole Trojan horse, it took me about a month. Hi, Chloe. It took me about a month to take a step back and say, wait a minute. When we went past the 2 week mark or the 15-day mark, I'm like, wait a minute. And here we are. Now, let's just think about this for a minute. This is the psychological damage that's been done to people around the world. Here we are 3.5 years later, and people are still wearing a mask. It's like, that's the longest running flu season I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've been around a while. Okay. That's the kind of psychological damage and fear that this administration and the powers that be around the world have put into the minds and hearts of their citizens. Okay. So it's going to take you and I, or people like us, to help educate people on what's really going on. Now, I don't know what's the scariest for some people. Is it facing the facts that you've been duped all this time, or dealing with the situation that we're in right now, where 65% of Americans are one disaster away from being on the street financially? It's really sad. I've never seen anything like this in my whole life. I mean, I've been around a while, but I didn't live through the Great Depression. Well, this is a greater depression than that one, and we haven't even seen the worst of this. This is something else. So here we are. We have all this stuff going on with all these train derailments. It is too many of them happening for anybody to think that this is a mistake. It is not a mistake. It is intentional. It is absolutely intentional. So let's just put some of the puzzle pieces together. Okay. So we've got this open border policy in effect now, right? As soon as the last administration went out of office, they started dismantling the door to our nation, right? That was the whole thing. Everybody should be able to come and go as they please. Well, first of all, the first duty of the commander in chief is to protect the nation. Okay, so he's failed in that respect. Um, and I'm sorry, I got all kinds of weird texts coming in. But anyway, um, that's his first duty. And he could care less. The door to our nation is wide open, and people are coming in who we cannot vet. Now, some of them are legitimate. Some of them are legitimately seeking asylum because their countries are war torn and all this weird stuff is going on in other nations. But this was going on before all that stuff was going on. I mean, this happened after, yeah, before all that stuff was going on. So that's just an excuse. Well, now you've got people that are displaced by the thousands, millions that are pouring into our country, and we don't have the infrastructure to take care of all these people. It's not that we're not a neighborly country, because we are. We send more missionaries out than them. Now we need missionaries to come here, but we have more money going out to other countries in the form of aid that is just, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, and we can't help our own. I was listening to a lady today. She moved from California to Arizona, and she's on the street. She has nowhere to go. She appears to be nearly, I don't know, 75 maybe. And if she's not, I'm telling you what, them streets are beating the snot out of her, because that woman looked awful.
57.
50. Oh man, I thought she was in her 70s. And she she's sick. She's very sick. She's on the street. She's caught in this vicious cycle, right? Where she says she gets Social Security. She gets $820 a month. She said it's not enough. She can't get a place. Now, I know that Arizona has a housing crisis. Hi, Carmen. I know Arizona has and hi Sharon, has a housing crisis because my daughter lives there, and she sold her home to move into a smaller home and was literally living in hotels for nearly 3 months trying to wait for her house to get finished being built. It was crazy. And so there was a crisis. There was no place else she could go that she could afford to rent because the cost of living is so high there. The housing crisis is ridiculous in Arizona. And so this poor woman moves from California thinking that she's going to have it a little bit easier in Arizona. Well, psych, because she got there and she couldn't find anywhere to go. Well, so she ends up on the street. And she was talking about how um, she can't afford to get an apartment. And she was saying she can't go into a shelter because if she goes into a shelter, then it disqualifies her from being able to get housing. I mean, it's terrible. This system is set in place. It seems like the way the system is put together, it's almost like it's put together to keep a person down, to keep them in poverty, or to keep them in a place where they can never get ahead. And I just felt so bad for her, listening to her talk. And I'm sitting there thinking, there's not a whole lot I can do, for her. I mean, I don't know her. This was her an interview that she was doing with someone. And she was talking about being out there on the street. She said, um, she says she's getting ripped off all the time. People are stealing from her all the time. She said I had an Obama phone, but what good is an Obama phone if I can't keep the phone? She says my phone gets stolen. She says, and then my money gets stolen, my ID gets stolen. Then they charge me $5 to replace everything. She says, and then I have to spend the money to replace everything. It gets stolen from me again. She said they even stole my underwear. She says, who? She said it's pretty pathetic when people steal your underwear. She says, I don't have any clothes. I took my clothes off. She said to wash my underwear, hung them up. She said the next day my underwear was gone. And she said, probably taken by somebody who couldn't even fit them. She says, I wear a size 0. I've lost 100 pounds since I've been on the street. It is crazy. I'm like, oh my God. And listen, we're in the first quarter. And I told you all, I've been telling you all for the last several weeks that in this first quarter, that they were going to be laying off people by the thousands. These big box stores, listen, they went woke and now they're going broke. And let me tell you why. Because these are the places that were all up in the TV talking about defunding the police and doing all this kind of stuff. And now you have crime that is running rampant. Let me read. I'm gonna read something to you. My husband laughing here because I'm getting wound up. Lord of mercy. Listen, are you listening? Okay, come here, because I want you to hear this. Listen, this is the article I read today, and this is a report from the chief financial officer of Walgreens. Okay, his name is James Kehoe, 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 whatever that is. This was okay. This is the plan. First of all, Walmart has plans. I mean, Walgreens. I'm sorry, Walgreens has plans to stop selling food sometime this year. Now you know how Walgreens they've got that. If you have a Walgreens in your area and you've ever been in one, they have. I haven't been in one in a long time, but they have aisles where they sell food. They sell snack food, and I don't think they sell bread or things like that, but they sell like some canned stuff, snack foods, things like that, right? And for some people, that's really all that's in their area. So they'll get the little cup of soups or whatever. But anyway, they plan to stop selling food this year. Um, and then here's something that's happening in Greensboro, North Carolina. This is this particular store. Now I don't know if they're going to do this all over the country or if they're just going to try to use Greensboro and see how it works like a pilot thing and then take it throughout the country. But let me tell you what's happening in Greensboro, North Carolina. This is the store on Cornwallis Drive in Greensboro, North Carolina. Okay. They are banning customers being able to come into their establishment at that store with purses and bags. That's how bad, that's how bad the crime is off the charts. Okay. This is how bad. They are banning it because of rampant theft. And that's according to the chief financial officer, James Cahoe. The National Retail Federation reports that organized retail crime has increased to 26.5%. And they said that number was from 2021. So it's worse now, right? And so they're taking additional measures, including the removing of shopping carts and handheld baskets at night. Now, I think this store might be the only one in that area that stays open. I think it stays open all night. The other ones close. But the theft is off the charts and it's going to bankrupt the store. So they're doing now. This is the crazy part. Let me get they're doing what they can do, what they think they can do to try to stem the hemorrhage because they are hemorrhaging products and they are hemorrhaging money. When they're hemorrhaging products like that and there's no money, there's no exchange, that is crazy. So that's what they're doing. But let me tell you, this fool, this guy is so woke and so controlled by the globalists that this is what he said. Now, this is after he gives the report that they are almost going bankrupt because of theft. And they decided to take these measures in addition to locking up things, right? Not letting purses and shopping carts and bags into the store or baskets, handheld bags. They're going to put everything away. Then the fool turns around and says, well, maybe we didn't really think it through. Perhaps when we put some of those measures in place, we were being a little too harsh. So we're probably going to walk back some of that. We're going to roll back. You know what? He need to go broke. Okay, that's just stupid. He needs to go broke. That's how I feel about that. So he says, well, it says, after receiving some backlash because the measures, he now says that they may have taken things, this is his words, quote, too far and may step back from some of the measures, even though 2022 showed a 50% increase of theft and loss from previous years. But so, okay, so this is what he's saying. This is what he is a thief's dream, okay? Because this is what he's saying. Y'all stealing from us. We know, we taking a big old financial hit and we put all these measures in place to try to save the organization, from rampant theft and loss and all this. But I tell you what we're going to do. We just going to let you do it. We just going to let you do it. That's pretty much what he's saying. These people are crazy, okay? Then you have other retailers implementing anti-theft measures. Now listen to this. CVS drugstore is implementing what they call time delay safes. Guess what they have to put that on? They have this technology that they have now that they have put on power tools because people are walking out of the store with power tools and home, not CVS, but they're locking up their medications, just the over the counter stuff. And Home Depot has put this time delay safe measure. It's this technology that they have on the power tools. And this is what it does. If you go out of the store without paying for a power tool that somehow, I don't know, you stuck it down in your pants, how you get out of a store with a power tool is beyond me, okay? But anyhow, it could be because if it's under a certain amount of dollars, then they can't arrest you. That's these liberal states and cities that think it's just supposed to be a free-for-all unless you try to come to their house and do it. But anyway, Home Depot has this technology that they have connected to their power tools. And this is how it works: you go out of the store without paying, and it disables the power tool. Okay. So now here's the problem with that. First of all, who knows how much money they paid for the power tool? And second of all, it ain't like they gonna bring it back. Now, some might bring it back, but if they have a policy that they don't take uh refunds, they don't give out refunds without a receipt, they're still out of laws because people don't know that these power tools aren't going to work once they walk out of the store with them. So they've still lost the equipment. They've still lost the money, right? And they're in the hole for the money that they spent on the technology in the first place. So it doesn't stop the theft. It just renders the item inoperable. But you still lost it. You still lost it, right? So anyway, so I'm sorry about that mix up, but the CVS thing, yeah, the CVS is, yeah, they're locking up their stuff. CVS, Walmart, these different stores like this are finding that they have to lock up mascara. They're saying that it's some of the smaller items that are easy to just, stick in your purse or stick in your pocket or whatever. They have a lot of problem with that, but they have big problems with bigger ticket items that if they fall under a certain dollar amount, it's not considered a crime in some states. It's just ridiculous. Like California, places like that, people could just walk in, take a bunch of stuff, and just walk out. And the CEOs of these companies are telling the employees don't engage the people. So it's almost like they want to go broke. It's crazy. But at the same time, these were the same stores that stayed open when all of the mom and pop stores were told that they had to close or face a fine or go to jail because they were going to kill grandma because they weren't doing their part to slow the spread and blah, 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 blah. And so now, can you see now how they're trying to and have, for the most part, destroyed the middle class? What happens when the store in your area decides that it has received so much theft and dealt with so much loss that it has to close down, and now you have to go 10 miles in another direction just to go grocery shopping? Or in some cases, like with some people, they have to literally cross a state line to go to the next store because that's the next grocery store. That's where the next store is. So they have effectively created these food deserts, right? Where there's nothing there. If the store closes and it was only one store and that store closed, where are you going to get your food? Now you have to spend more money in gas that you don't have. And the price of gas goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And you are supposed to weather this storm without a raise in your income. And if you're in a fixed income, if you're on a fixed income, whether it's disability or social security or whatever it is, and you're not getting money or raises or increases that keep up with the pace of inflation, now you got to drive 10 miles to go get food that costs too much anyway. so so why would they be doing this? Well, let's talk about that. You can put in the comments why you think they could be doing it. I'd like to hear that. Let me see what y'all saying. Hold on a minute. Did I say hi to you, Sharon? Hi, Sharon. Yep, Sharon says totally too much concern for other countries instead of here in our own. Hi, Margaret. Oh man, Vanessa says I already drive 20 to 30 miles for groceries and healthcare, etc. Yes, and they reduced food stamps. They sure did. And I told you guys that was coming. I told you. I said they're going to cut it. What they said they've cut is the emergency portion, right? Like during the pandemic, they increased it by an average of about $100, $90 or whatever for people that were receiving that assistance. And so people got used to having it, And it really helped them because the cost of food was going up because remember all the distribution centers were burning down and are you starting to get a picture here that they really don't care about you and that they're using this country as a dumping ground for criminals, for pedophiles, sex offenders, drug cartels, all kinds of mess is coming through our gates. And Biden couldn't give less of a rip than he does right now. He has never cared about this country. Okay, never. Some of us have been around for his entire career. So if you were duped into voting for that joker, well, I don't know what to tell you. The rest of us knew better. That's all I can say. Anyhow, so yeah, so all of this money is going over to these other countries. Um, for these wars that they want to have because big money is made during wars, folks. I'm telling you, uh, 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 what is it called? Lockheed Martin and all these different ones. They'd be rolling in the dough, okay, during a wartime because they're making all this equipment and all this machinery and all this. They're getting paid. They're getting paid and they don't care whether you get paid or not. Okay. It's like this one guy said, it's one big club and you're not in it. I'm not in it. Okay. So I hope that most of you, I mean, if you keep coming back to this channel, you either crazy like me or or you feel like maybe, just maybe she's telling us the truth about some things. So you're gonna keep listening. Good. Good. There's some hope for you. Hi, Evelyn. Listen, I come on here. I try to come on here twice a month. In the time that I'm not on here, I am doing a lot of reading. I'm doing a lot of listening to podcasts and sifting through fake news and all this kind of stuff, trying to put together some decent information to bring to you all about what's going on. I told you all several months back. How many times have I said, watch your finances? They're going to collapse the banks. How many times have I told you? How many times did y'all hear me say that? Now you got this bank. What's it called? Silver Lake, Silver. What is it? Silver Lake Bank
Silver Lake Capital and Silicon Valley Bank.
broke, busted, collapsed. Stocks went like this. They are busted, folks. And if you had money in there, you can forget it. You will probably never see that money again. These people, I'm telling you, they don't care. They don't care. This is worse than 2008. Does anybody remember that? Because that was a hot mess. That was a mess. George Bush left the country in a mess. Obama took it further down the tubes. Everybody thought he was going to be the Negro that glowed in the dark and somehow, he was going to make everything better for us. Well, no, he didn't. And no, I didn't vote for him either time because I could see right through him. Okay, so there you go. Anyway, and this is the problem with some folks. Listen, if you see everything through the lens of race, you got a problem. Okay, I'm not kidding. Everything is racial. Everything is offensive to people. People just really just get over yourself. Okay, just can we do my husband left there. Can we get over ourselves? Really? Can we get over ourselves? My goodness. Anyhow, back to the banks. Yes. Alyssa, yes, I heard about Silicon Valley Bank. They claim they can't get their money by Monday. Yeah. Don't hold your breath. It depends on how much you had in there. Listen, before these banks even started collapsing, which started with that whole FTX thing.
Well, it started with Credit Suisse.
Well, Credit Suisse, yeah, but FTX, I mean, that was bad. That was bad. That crypto thing, I tell you, it was an exchange, like a crypto exchange, and it tanked and took a whole lot of people with them. Some of these banks had invested all of the depositors' money into crypto on that exchange. And that exchange went the way of the dodo, and so did these banks. Okay, it's bad. I'm telling you. I'm like, wow. So all I can do is blow the trumpet. And I know people think that my way of speaking or my way of bringing the information to you is harsh. I don't care. This is adult conversation, okay? If your feelings are easily hurt, please move on because I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to save as many lives as I possibly can because the government ain't coming to help you. I keep telling you that. They're not coming. They did this to you. They did this to your grandchildren. They did this to your children, and they've done it to you. And so when you get that through your head, you'll stop looking for them to ride in on their white horse and save your butt. Okay. They're not coming. They're not coming. And so this is why I spend time talking to people about trying to learn a new skill. And when I say that, I'm not talking about going to college, taking up philosophy. I'm talking about learn how to grow food in containers. You see what they're doing to the water with all these train derailments and all these toxins getting into the water. And let me tell you something. When that stuff gets into a river, it's not like the river just stays in one place, folks. It moves. It moves from state to state. This is this is some diabolical mess going on here. They don't care how many people they kill off. They don't care if you're one of them. They don't care about your 6-month-old great grandchild or whoever it is, or they wouldn't even have started the whole mess with the formula. Remember that? Remember the shortage of formula? Did you know that there's still a shortage of baby Tylenol and Motrin? Where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, no. It went to Ukraine or it went somewhere else. It didn't come into your house. Okay. So listen, sooner or later, the people that you know are going to get a clue. When it hits their doorstep, they will get a clue. Okay. And it's going to be a rude awakening for some people. Some people need to go to God and repent for how they voted in this last election. I'm not kidding. Now, do I think it was that many people? No, I don't think it was that many people because I literally believe that that election was stolen. Plain and simple. Who in the right mind would vote for what we're going through right now? Who would do that unless you're sadistic? Who would do that? So I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it was legitimate. I don't. Margaret says she's going to grow her own food inside. Yes. Yeah. Do the best that you can. Do the best that you can because, and listen, let me tell you something. This is how serious I am. I have a meeting every month with a group of people here in my city. And for the last month, I think it was last month, I am so serious about helping people that I had a lady in the group who is a master gardener give a demonstration on how to build your own soil. You better learn how to make your own soil, folks, because if you have to keep depending on going to the store, buying the soil that they're selling, you don't know where that soil is coming from. What if it's coming from where those toxins spilled? You don't know. They've already proven to you they don't care about you. They don't care if you die. They could care less. They could care less. So I'm trying to show people, first of all, when you vote, don't be stupid. Okay. Don't get hung up on somebody's personality that you can't see the policies. Can you look back now and see what the last administration was trying to protect us from? Did he act like a horse is behind sometimes? So what? The man, it's the policies that save the country. Has nothing to do with personality. Guess what? If he had met you, he might not like you either. How about that? Let that hit you. He didn't have to like you. You don't have to like him. But what about the policies? The man took an oath to protect this country, and that's what he was trying to do. And he said if they get in office, they're going to turn this place into a third world country. And that's exactly what's happening. So now he's going to run again. And boy, does he have a mess to clean up. If he gets in there this time, he's got a mess to clean up. 7 years they've been tracking this man down and harassing him with one lawsuit after another, after another, after another. Why? Because they want you dead and he doesn't. That's why. That's why. Say whatever you want to say about him. Did I like the guy? Not very much, but guess what? I liked his policies. I liked his policies. I liked the fact that he wanted to take care of this country first. He didn't say he didn't want to care for other countries. What he said was he didn't want a whole bunch of money going out of our country when our bridges and roads were messed up, where our tarmacs, where the planes come in, were messed up, where our infrastructure was falling apart, where our grid could easily be taken down and we'd be in the dark ages for Lord knows how long if China or Russia decide they want to get an attitude and explode an EMP in the atmosphere over our nation. He wanted to fix this stuff. He wanted to shore it up. And here we are now with a pedophile. That's right, I said it, a pedophile in the office, in the Oval, raping children. I mean, this is ridiculous. And some people will get out and pick it or take a knee or want to sit down in a conservative meeting in their silent protest with their nasty selves. Okay, so here we go. All right, I said it. I don't care. Yes, he is talking about coming back. Granny Karma. That's right. That's what I'm telling. Grow food and learn to can. Right. And let me tell you. So I had that lady come in and I had her demonstrate on how to build your own soil. And this is really what you need to do. It's not that difficult to do. But I'm saying I want you to try to get away from going to buy your soil from these big box stores that are complicit in trying to kill you. Okay. You don't know what they're putting in the dirt. You don't know what's going to happen to your crops if you try to grow something in that dirt. But if you make your own soil, you know what's in it. You put it there, right? It's not hard to do. And so that was last month. Then the month before that, I had another lady that's part of the group. She first of all, she's a phenomenal gardener. I don't know how she does it, but she got like 10 green thumbs or something. But anyway, I had her come in and talk to us about the different ways to preserve food. She she was talking about canning. She was talking about dehydrating. There's different ways that you can preserve your own food. Now, for those of you that have been buying extra every time you went to the store, you are way ahead financially from people who haven't done anything yet. Because believe it or not, this is honestly what I think. And I'm not trying to be offensive. I don't really care if I am, but I'm not trying to be. But at this late stage, in this mess, 3.5 years later, if people cannot see what is going on, if they cannot see with the price of everything going up and distribution centers going up in smoke, trains derailing, poisoning the food, poisoning the groundwater, and toxins in the air, and they lie and say, oh, everything's fine, just go back home, you can go back to your house, everything's fine. Animals are dying, forest animals are dropping dead, all kinds of stuff is going on, and your government is telling you to go back in there and live. That's what they're doing. It's disgusting. And so if a person cannot see, if they have not been able to put the pieces together yet, that they really want you dead out of the way because you have stuff that they want, you have a house that they want, you have land that they want. Then they were pushing this whole marijuana thing. We just came through where we had to vote on Tuesday. I voted early. But this past Tuesday, there was a bill that came on the ballot. It was the only thing on the ballot for our state, Oklahoma. They wanted to legalize recreational marijuana. Now, about 4 years ago, it might have been 4 years ago, they legalized medical marijuana. Well, let me tell you, when that happened, you talking about the floodgates open, See, the same thing happened in Colorado, same thing happened in California, and the whole state went to crap when they did that. Drug abuse went off the charts, okay? With this whole medical marijuana, supposedly. Then you got these jackleg doctors who ain't nothing but licensed drug pushers consistently writing prescriptions for all these drugs. And these people were, I mean, they just turned it into a huge industry. So now you have all these drugs coming into the country by way of China, the cartels, the whole 9 yards, because we have an open border policy now where the vice president will get on the national mic and lie or be deceitful and say the border is secure. The border is secure. Yeah, it's been secured for the cartels. You can't have open borders and your country be secure. Okay, just let that hit you, folks. Okay, so you think about, just look at how many guns are pointed at you for your demise. What have you, ask yourself this, what have you gotten out of this? How has what we've been through as a nation for the last 3 years, how has it benefited you? Are you richer? Are you wealthier? I'm not talking about in knowledge. Knowledge ain't gonna pay your electric bill. Okay, I'm talking about, are you wealthier? Are you richer? Now some people are prospering now. You know, God has blessed my husband and I'm not independently wealthy, but I ain't broke either, you know, because I ain't stupid. Okay. I knew to move my money. I saw it coming. I'm like, yeah, they ain't getting mine. Okay. They ain't getting mine. They ain't getting mine. And I'm going to tell as many people as I can, you better move your money. And now you see what's happening. They will steal from you. They will literally steal from you. And if you haven't read the fine print, when you put your money in the bank, it no longer belongs to you. It belongs to them. That's why when you go to try to take it out and you try to take out X amount of dollars, they want to know, well, what do you want it for? It's almost like they're loaning you the money. It's yeah. Anyway, learn how to grow your own food. I keep saying that. Another thing that you need to do is look into water purification. Now, I know it doesn't have to be this big, elaborate thing. Some people, well, some states have made it illegal to even catch water. I mean, really? Really? Because God wasn't charging for water last I looked, but He wasn't charging for rain last I looked. Learn how to make your own clothes. Margaret says she crocheted a shirt, hats, blankets, whatever else she can do. She's getting on the ball. Good for you. That's great. Listen, educate yourself on how to do these things. At the beginning of last year, no, it might have been 2 years ago, I was praying and God said, my people are going to have to learn to live more simply, more simple lives. Okay. So what does that tell you? That tells me that even though he has the power to stop everything that's happening, he's not going to stop everything that's happening because he's given you skills and abilities to know how to navigate through this stuff. You just have to have the will to do it. Okay. If you determine in your mind that you ain't going down with the ship, I used to tell my husband, God did not call me to polish the brass on a sinking ship. Okay. I'm not going down with the ship. I'm not. So, what did I have to do? Well, I got to do what I got to do to stay afloat, whatever that means. So, Granny Karma, hi, Granny Karma. She says, I save money with water systems, save on bottled water. Yes. Get filters for your spigots and stuff like that. Now, you may think that the water that's coming from your city is clean, and it could be. It could you know you could be living in an area where the water is very very clean. But if you're living in an older house, your pipes are old. So how clean is the water? See, it could be clean coming from the source, but by the time it runs through the pipes in your house that may have been there for 70 years, it ain't that clean no more. So you need to get a water filtering system anyway. And it's not expensive. It can be. It depends on how elaborate you want to get with all that, right? But just think about these things. Listen, folks, store some water. You have to have water. You have to have food. You must have water. You can live without food for several days, but you have to have water. You have to have water or you will die very quickly. So I know I was kind of all over the map here, but there's so many things that are going on. And and at the same time, right, it's really kind of sad because there's so many people that are losing their businesses and have lost their homes, and thousands upon thousands of people are being turned into the streets because they literally cannot afford to go anywhere else. They can't. And some of these people, it's not that they're broke, it's that they literally cannot afford to go anywhere else. And their landlords have jacked up their rent when their lease was up, right? And rather than renewing their lease at the same rate, they jacked the rent up, $300, $400. I've heard stories like that. They say, I can't pay $400 more on my rent when I'm already paying 2,500 for a one bedroom. I'm paying $2,500 a month plus utilities in a one bedroom. And now my month to month lease was up, and the owner said he wanted to increase my rent by $400. Where are they going to go? And especially if you have family members who think this is the best economy ever because that's what Biden told them to think, um, they're not noticing that they're paying more. They're not noticing that the price of food is ridiculous. They're not noticing that the trains are spilling toxins into the air and contaminating the soil, destroying the water and all that. They ain't noticing none of that because Biden told them that this is the best thing ever, you know. So I tell you, let me tell you something. Honestly, I started to say a few minutes ago, if you cannot see that there's a problem here, I seriously doubt that you're wrapped real tight. I think you've got some mental problems that you need to have checked out. Okay? I'm just saying, because you got to be either incredibly stupid or mentally ill not to see that this ain't right. Okay? This just ain't right. That all of your tax dollars, my dollars, are going to some other country to fight a war that we ain't got no business being in, because this other country says the Nazis took that land from us and we want it back. And they said, but wait a minute, that's where we do all money laundering and all of our drug running and stuff. You can't have this country. This is our purse. That's what the US is saying. This is where we do business. You can't have this country. Mhm. Let that hit you. Why? Why that country? Why does the US have such an interest in that country? Yep, that's right. Anyway, Granny Karma says if you receive EBT at Walmart, you can buy fruit trees and vegetable plants. Well, isn't that something? I did not know that. That's good to know. That's good to know. So if any of you have that kind of assistance, that's good to know. Check with your store, make sure that they're doing that at Walmart. But I did not know that. That's good to know. I don't receive that benefit, but that is good to know. And I will check. We have two superstores here. Um, and I can call, I could probably call customer service and find out are they accepting that here in our state as well. And if that be the case, then when I have my next meeting, I can let people know that you can get fruit trees and all that if that's the case. That would be great. However, just keep in mind that if you buy a fruit tree, it's going to be about 5 years before it starts bearing fruit. Okay, so you're not going to plant it next week and have an orange that same year. This ain't happening. Okay, so just so you know, it takes time. Also, the other thing that I want you to remember is even if you plan to start growing your own food or you've been um, thinking about ways that you can better sustain yourself. If you're going to grow your own food, just realize that whatever you grow in a container or whatever you grow in your backyard is not going to be enough to sustain you or a family for any length of time. It's not. Planting has a season, okay? It's not a year round thing unless you're using hydroponics or some other artificial means like that where you can grow stuff indoors. Even then, it's not going to be enough to sustain you and a family for an extended period of time. And I mean, you need acres of land to do that. That's why when people grew up on farms, they would spend like the whole summer preserving food, canning food, and all that. Why? Because there was nothing growing in the winter and they still had to eat. So they spent the summer preserving the food that they grew enough to keep them for the entire winter season, which is 3 months, 3.5 months. And in some places, it's 6 months, right? And so they knew what they had to do to sustain themselves. And if you're going to use a freeze dryer and stuff like that, you still have to know how to properly store that food after you prepare it. After you freeze dry it, you have to know how to store it so that it doesn't oh so that it doesn't take on moisture and ruin, right? And if you have now, some people I know they have several freezers, right? They may have two freezers. They may have a refrigerator. I have an eyelash in my eye, so annoying. They may have a refrigerator outside. Some people have refrigerators outside or freezers that they keep outside on their porch or whatever. Two things I want to say about that. Number one is if you're able to put a lock on it, put a lock on it because depending on where you live and people are in such desperate situations now, theft is on the rise and it's not just in retail stores, it is in people's homes, people neighborhoods, people are having break-ins and all kinds of stuff because people are desperate. So, the second thing I wanted to say about freezers is we experienced a power outage just last week, right? It wasn't out that long. But it was good for us that it happened because it showed us where some of the weaknesses were in our preparedness, right? Uh, because, like you can see right now, I'm in my RV and it showed us. And let me tell you what else we found. The power went out, and I'm like, okay, no big deal. We'll have a generator, we'll turn on the generator. Yeah, our generator wouldn't turn over. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we were in here with no power at all. Nothing. We had nothing. Now, it wasn't terrible because it was, you know, we guess what? We found out we needed to get new batteries, house batteries, and batteries that goes in the front of the coach. So we did. It showed a weakness that if it had been a real emergency, we would have been in trouble. We didn't know our batteries were that low. Now, here's the thing. I had already purchased some batteries of what we call house batteries. Those are the ones that keep the lights running and all that. We had already purchased those batteries in the summer. Uh, what was it? Or just before Christmas. But we had never switched them out, taking the old ones out and putting them in. My husband said he wanted to wait until he had just wrung every last juice out of, out of the older batteries before he put the new ones in. But the thing is, whatever we paid for the batteries back then, they cost a heck of a lot more now. But we had them. We had them. See, so this thing of being prepared, don't wait until there's a disaster and then you try to get ready for it. It's too late then. It's too late then, right? So just think about what I'm saying, because if you're out of electricity and you say you put all your food in freezers and stuff like that and the power goes out, which did happen to us at the very beginning of the pandemic. We were out of town for 2 weeks, and when we came back, our freezer had quit working, but it had just quit working because everything on the very top of the freezer was very, very cold, ice cold. And the second layer of food was still frozen. So the freezer had just gone out. Nobody had opened it. So it had just gone out sometime in that last 24 hours or so, 24, 48 hours or so. But guess what? We had we had we had backup. No, we did not have backup. I ended up having to leave everything in the freezer except for what was on the top. I took that and I pressure canned it. I had taught myself 3 years prior how to preserve food by pressure canning and water bathing. And so that's what I did. And it took me 4.5 days, starting at 8 in the morning and telling myself I was going to be finished by 5 in the afternoon every day till I got it done. That's how long it took me. And that freezer was full. Let me tell you, that's how long it took me, 4.5 days, to get all of that food pressure canned. And I didn't lose one thing. Not a cranberry, not a frozen onion, nothing. I didn't lose anything. Why? Because I had that skill. I knew how to preserve that food. I don't have a dehydrator, but I knew how to preserve food. So that's what I did, right? And then it took 3 months before we were able to replace our freezer. So that happened, right? Because there were no freezers, because there was a run on the freezers. So yeah, remember that? You couldn't find a freezer anywhere? Yeah, we got caught in that. We couldn't find a freezer anywhere. So that showed me the importance of being able to preserve my own food in the event that there was an emergency like that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I knew how to do this, because if I didn't, we would have lost a lot of money, a lot of money. Um, so what did that do for us? That made me look at, okay, what do we need to do? Because I have to be able to keep my freezers going in the event that there's a power outage. Now, I rarely have an outage where my house is. Um, but we do have them out here in this little town. The power can go out, or the water gets shut off, or whatever all else. And so we went and got some solar. And I said, I need enough to keep my refrigerator and my freezer running in the event that there's a power outage that's extended. So now we're getting ready to go into tornado season, and we're starting to have bad storms and stuff where the power could go out. And if you think they can't manipulate the weather, you're wrong. But that's a whole nother that's a whole nother video. Um, you guys listen, just take every precaution that you can. I'll be coming back on here in the next couple of weeks or so, trying to see what other information I can bring to you. But watch your finances. You're going to have to learn a skill. You're going to have to learn how to preserve your own food. And I know that it's difficult now to even think about trying to do anything extra in regard to your pantry. But you're going to have to, folks, because all the crops that failed last year will not be in the store this year. They won't be there. So, and then you have the issue of what are they doing with the food? What's happening with the food? So there's that, right? I mean, if you trust them, then you keep doing what you're doing. I don't trust them. I'm trying to decouple myself as much as I can and be as independent as I can and self-reliant as I can, um, with the sense that God gave me, because I certainly ain't dependent on nobody else to take care of me. I'm not, because no. No, no. I see what they did, how they weaponized medicine against our citizens. I've watched them weaponize food. I've seen them take politics and weaponize it. I've seen the psychological warfare that's been going on. It is crazy, and people have lost their minds. They're just crazy. So there you go. Hi, Beverly. How are you? Oh my gosh. Well, it's almost been an hour. Y'all know I get on here and lose my mind, and y'all ain't no help. try to, y'all supposed to help keep me balanced in here. But anyway, you know, I'm doing what I'm doing because I care about people. I'm trying to educate as many people as I can, even in the political arena. I'm no master of politics. I didn't, take up politics as some kind of a major in school or whatever, but I understand policy. I understand what works and what doesn't. And I'm trying to get people to understand, like I said, concerning the last administration. Look at where we were then, look at where we are now in this short period of time. And you tell me who's the real racist. You tell me who is really the destructive force for this country. Because I can see a sharp contrast between having the best economy ever for real and being told that this is the best economy ever. And that's because they have raped your great grandchildren and your children of their future financially. They have taken their money, they stole it. And now in July, they want to come out with this central bank digital currency. Well, the central bank is the one that got us in this mess in the first place. Okay. So now, why would they want a digital currency? It's because they can turn it off, they can turn it on. If they don't like your politics, they can take all your money, they can shut your little ID off so that you can't buy, you can't sell, you can't do anything unless you fall in line with what they're telling you to say. So now, having that in mind, do you see the benefit of decoupling yourself from them kind of psychopaths that want to run your life and tell you what you can and cannot eat? Hmm? Just think about it. Just think about it and ask yourself the question before you go to bed tonight: how free do you want to be? Because that's what it comes down to. How free do you want to be? How much of your own sovereignty do you want to retain? Or do you just want to go along to get along? Because those are the only choices you have. You're either going to go along with everything you're told to do, or you're going to be more self reliant, more self sufficient, and more dependent upon God to see you through and to give you wisdom on how to navigate this, or you will be a slave to this system. I'm telling you, that's what they want. Useful idiots. That's what they want. That's what they want. When they make it illegal, listen to this, for a pharmacy to give you medication that has been tried and proven for 60 years to work against parasites and to work against viruses, they make it almost illegal for a pharmacist to give you that and threaten to take their license. But they let fentanyl come across the border just out of control. This is the kind of backwards government we're dealing with. Okay? So you better think about where you are and how this is affecting your life and how this is affecting your family. And ask yourself, how much a part of this do you want to be? I opt out, really, because no, I don't believe this is God's will for my life. So I'm not living that way. I'm just telling you, I'm not. I'm doing as much as I can to not be a part of this craziness. This is madness. This is madness. I've looked at Scotland. I've looked at Ireland. I've looked at Germany. I've looked at the Netherlands. People are suffering. What you see going on here is going on in all of these countries. I've looked at Norway. My husband is Norwegian Irish. We looked into Norway. It is bad, folks. What they have done to this world. These are people who say save the planet. Who are they saving it for? Because they're trying to kill us all. Who are they saving the planet for? Because they're trying to kill us. It's just that simple. Okay. So now, am I afraid of that? No, because God knows the number of my days. And I'm just going to keep living until I die. That's what I intend to do. They can't kill me until God says, okay. So I'm not concerned about that, But what I'm saying is, I don't want the quality of my life to be greatly reduced because I didn't use the common sense that God gave me, and I got all into my emotions and how somebody said a thing rather than looking at policies and voting for the best policies for this country. So just keep that in mind. We have an election coming up next year, folks. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. You have a contrast. You can look at what's going on now. You can see what happened then, just 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and you weigh it and ask yourself, how do you want to live? Okay? How do you want your grandchildren to live and your great grandchildren to live? And go to God and ask Him, how does He want you to live? What plan does He have for your life? Because they got one. They got a plan for your life. Okay? They have a plan for your life. I'm just saying, I ain't trying to scare you. I'm just telling you the truth. They got a plan for your life now. So I tell people, you got two destinies, the one the devil has for you and the one God has for you. Pick one. Pick one. All right. Yes, recalls on food. Lord have mercy. We'll, we'll deal with that in the next video. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for. I feel like I'm trying to rescue people from themselves. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. And some people you just can't help. You just can't because they don't see it. They are completely brainwashed. They can't see it. They cannot see it. And some people see it and now they're so proud and so embarrassed till they can't even admit that they just messed up. You know, the way they voted or what they were picketing for and all this silent protest and all this crazy stuff going on. I don't give aid and comfort to the devil, and I don't give aid and comfort to the enemy. I don't care who it is. I don't do it. And if I find out that you're doing it too much for my comfort, I'm gonna start seeing you as the enemy. So there's that. That's where we cut ties because I'm not the one. Okay. Anyway, all right, you guys. I sure care about you, and I hope you know that. Some people get offended by my delivery. I don't care. I don't because I know my motive. Um, and I know I have a strong personality. Oh, well, there you go. Right? Some do, some don't. So what? That's just the way I am. And my intent is not to offend anyone. But if in your state of offense, you take a step back and say, well, I don't like the way she said it, but what she said made sense, then perhaps there might be some hope for you. All right. You guys have a good rest of your weekend. God bless you and keep you. I pray that something that I said in this broadcast will strike a spark in your mind and in your heart, and that you will do everything that you can do to keep yourself safe, to keep your family safe, and to stay aware and on top of what's going on so that you will have the wisdom to move to the left or to the right or move forward, take a step backward, whatever it is you need to do to secure your life and your family. So that's what my prayer is for you. I hope that you will pray for me as I continue to move forward, trying to bring information to you all into these groups that I meet with. And God bless you. And I will see you in the next video.